Honestly, I can't lie. I've been waiting so long to be able to talk about this game. A new game upcoming in the medieval genre, and of course, it is taking us into the survival world. This is the Medieval Rust. Welcome to Project Renown. Now, as I hinted at in the introduction, Project Renown is a game that I've known about for quite some time, and actually I've already played some sort of testing versions of it. Whilst I couldn't record any of that, and it's not really worth me saying much about it since it was very early phases of the combat testing, it has just released a new combat mechanics trailer, which I can be bringing you and showing you guys today. Now, of course, once again, I have no affiliation and I don't endorse any of the products I speak about, but I love showcasing new and upcoming games, especially in the medieval genre, and ones that are made by indie developers. So what is Project Renown? Well, Project Renown is hoping to be the new next medieval survival game with incredibly intense combat simulation using swords, crossbows, bows, cavalry combat, and anything of the like, using teamwork or solo gameplay in order to conquer the open world. Now, you might have picked up upon the fact that I mentioned it is very much Rust meets medieval, and that's what they're really going for. They're trying to make this fast-paced survival world, but taking it into the Middle Ages. You see, a lot of games have tried to do this in the past, and they have failed, which at first made me rather skeptical of this. But the reason Project Renown I feel is a little bit different is because I don't think they're going that same direction. Many medieval games, when they try and take it into an open-world survival aspect, they go too far. They lean too much into realism because they know people that like historical games love realistic and historically authentic material. However, for a survival game, being realistic isn't necessarily the best thing. You have a game like Life is Feudal that went so far that way, it took days, weeks, months for trees to grow. If you went mining for resources, it'd be hours of doing the same thing over and over again, creating a massive grind that really turned people away from it, and that's why the servers of that game have gone off now. But what is one of the most popular survival games out there? Well, it's Rust. And the reason for that is its fast-paced nature. You can get into the game, you can get making and crafting things, building forts, bases, teaming up with people, getting weapons, going hunting, looting and scavenging, all within your first day of playing. It is so fast-paced, in fact, that people can just go on and jump on, play a bit with their friends, and then hop off, and that's why I think it is so well received and currently one of the biggest games on PC at the moment. And that's what Project Renown is going for. They're taking out the grindy aspects of it. They're making sure that when you play the game, you actually get to play a game rather than try and live a second life. Now, while there's little information about the actual survival mechanics we have so far, we can expect some new updates coming later on. It's been hinted that they're working on a survival video in the next few weeks. However, what we do have and what I can talk about today is the combat. And as a medieval game, this is one of the most important parts here. As you can see by this trailer, it is very much taking from that Mordhau style first-person sword combat, having different attack directions but also being incredibly free-flowing, not locking you onto a certain target but also giving you the option to have intricate and fast-paced duels on one-on-one situations, slicing, stabbing, dragging. They're all mechanics that will be in here, much like if you've played a game like Mordhau, you'll be able to come to terms with this sort of combat much quicker. I have actually played a bit of it, and whilst the animations aren't as smooth as a game like Mordhau, it is incredibly intricate, and the hitboxes just make it. You can see you can duck under sword slices, or jump over stabs from your enemy, dodging as well as turning, moving into different combinations of sword attacks. Now, one of the biggest parts and the biggest problems with a first-person sword fighting game that we've seen in the past, like Chivalry or Mordhau, was spinning. How the combat is so refined and done well, yet people end up just turning it into a spin fest where you can spam and turn around and it's almost impossible to go up against anyone that uses these tactics, but they've solved it here. I remember when I was playing, if once you attack, it completely slows down your character movements, or the energy is put into the swings, meaning that you can't do 360 spins, you can't be jumping and attacking at the same time. You feel like you're holding a weighted weapon, and especially if you're in heavier armor, you're going to be moving much slower, but it's going to give you that extra protection. Now, of course, much like these first-person medieval games, they're really going for the blood, gory feel. They're going to try and immerse you within this world, and especially when you're going up against your knighted opponents. Whilst the combat we have seen in this small trailer shows more small-scale stuff, it's going to be a large open world, especially when you're working on survival. Combat is going to be a part of it, but it's not going to be the only thing within the game, meaning that maybe you get caught off guard. You're without your armor and your proper weapons. Maybe you're going hunting. hunting, or you're going to collect resources and an enemy clan comes upon you and you don't have your weapons on you. These are all going to be factors and challenges that you're going to have to cross within the game, combining that survival and sword fighting mechanics together. And whilst I can't say anything about the hard evidence of the success of this survival mode, what I've been told and what the information that I've been bought by the developers, it seems like the ideas are there. However, the combat is something I can talk about, and personally from what I have played, I really enjoy it. In fact, I'd go as far to say when it comes to first-person combat, I'd say it's up there with Mordhau. As I mentioned, the animations aren't as smooth, but this is so early on, made by a very small team, and if I remember correctly, when I actually spoke to the guys, they didn't have a proper animator. These were just animations that one of the coders had done as a basic temporary thing, and already I'm loving the way the combat feels. Furthermore, in some of the trailers, we can see some cavalry-based combat. I didn't get to play anything on horseback, and of course the combat trailer doesn't really show that. However, it will be in the game, being able to chase people down on horseback and learning to use your weaponry not just on foot but while on the move as well. Furthermore, of course, you'll be able to build towns, cities, forts, and massive castles, defending them by yourself or with your clans. Of course, when it gets to that scale and the larger level terrain and buildings that you're creating, you're going to need a group of people in order to sustain that type of gameplay. But you could be attacked by another clan, and this is where things like siege weaponry comes in. We can see in one of the trailers, trebuchets are being built and fired upon the destructible walls of the enemy. This is a completely indie game. It is currently very basic. The amount of content that is in it is definitely in a testing phase, and the combat is about the only thing that feels like it's solidly done. However, the survival is currently being created, and I'll hopefully bring some more updates when we get some more information about that. But keep in mind, this is an indie developer team, and they're going up against a very tricky genre. Medieval survival has never been that successful in the past. People have tried it, but they've always failed, and that's kind of a worry I have with this type of game. Life is Feudal, The Black Death, Reign of Kings. They've all tried and to some extent failed. These types of games don't exist anymore for the exact reason that they're hard to balance. In-depth sword combat with survival mechanics is not an easy approach to go, but from what I've heard and from what I've played and seen, they're on the right track at the moment. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on Project Renown. I'm going to be hopefully bringing you more updates when information comes out, but there is a Discord of theirs that you can check out, of course, once again. So please, leave your comments down below. What do you think of Project Renown? How do you think they're going to get around the difficulty of medieval survival games? They've never really succeeded in the past. Do you think that they can be the one that does? Leave that comment down below and I'll be sure to check up on it. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.